Princeton. Not just Princeton, New Jersey. We're in the battlefield of Princeton. You know, I never really thought about what happened after December 25th when Washington crossed the Delaware River, which isn't too far from here. The American side, you know, we had a big victory on December 25th at the Battle of Trenton. I think there was like another little small battle. And then January 1777, there was a battle right here in Princeton. This is a state-run park. And if you walk around, they have little signs in the battlefield that tell you what happened, where you were standing. So what we're going to do today is we're going to walk around this state park. We're going to avoid wild foxes, because believe it or not, I just saw a fox. We got live action. Check this out. Some hot fox action here at the battlefield of Princeton. Am I scared? A little bit. Kind of reminds me of a wild dog. Little tiny thing. I don't like the fact that he's not running away from me. Oh, why am I walking closer? I'm a city boy. And animals scare me. Oh, he looks like he's... Hello, friend. I'm going to back up. You have a good day. Goodbye. Goodbye, fox. We're going to check out the trails, because I hear there's a swinging bridge off of this parking lot. So we're going to just spend a little bit of time here. None of the trees you see in this shot were here in the battlefield during the battle, because this was like a giant wheat field. Back here is a farmhouse. Let's check out. We are looking at the house that used to belong to Thomas Clark. It was built in 1772, and this farm was 200 acres. Look at this. You got a cannon. Fire! And this is a cannon. It's in memory of Hugh Mercer, General Hugh Mercer, who was bayoneted 7 times on January 3rd, and he died on the 12th of January in this house. The Clark House is no longer a private residence. It's part of the state park. It's open like Thursday through Sunday. It looks like the windows are very old. If you look at glass at these old houses from 1770, if you see wavy glass, like glass they make today is perfectly flat, but if you see glass with that little wave, let me see if I can see any more. Yeah, it just doesn't look as perfect as the glass we make today. That could be 300-year-old painted glass. And if you look in here, you could take a tour of the house, which I would assume, since Mercer died in here, it was probably a hospital for the colonial troops. And if you walk through this little patch of woods where there were some trees 250 years ago, there were some trees, they have these little cement markers. And back there is the Clark House. If you go down here, there's this obelisk, and it talks about the route of Washington's march by night from Trenton to Princeton. He took a 12-mile march, and this was put here back in 1914. The battle took place January 3rd, 1777. I could do 12 miles, right? I can't. Yeah. Apparently what they did is they walked down an old logging trail, and that's how they got to this battlefield. Now, I caught myself just like imagining what it would be like. Now, on the day of the battle in 1777, it was 20 degrees in January, and a 20-degree day. Could you imagine, like, you know, they weren't wearing the best shoes. The Washington's troops, you know, some of them were wearing like burlap sacks on their feet, and you know, they weren't properly fed. Where am I? Why am I here? Oh my God. If that fox jumps out and bites me, I'll be so pissed. Oh, we're back at the house. This is the only building from the 1700s that was built. This is not from the 1700s. This is actually a restroom. The bathroom's not that great. There's no toilet paper. Not that I didn't have to go big boy potty. I just had to tinkle. But if you do ever have to, you know, they don't have toilet paper. Paper towels. Just behind the trees, or that is that little farmhouse we were at. And this is the offspring of the Mercer oak. Now, during the Battle of Princeton, a lot of people were bayoneted. And one of the people who was bayoneted was Hugh Mercer, who was a Scottish guy who did a lot of fighting. And he wasn't a wimp, because a lot of guys during the Battle of Princeton, when the British troops were coming with the bayonets, a lot of the colonial army guys retreated. But Hugh Mercer stuck around, and for all his hard work, he got stabbed 7 times. After he got stabbed or bayoneted 7 times, he crawled over to this area where this tree is, and he hid. Were they really even like trying to find the guy? Because, yeah, I mean, how hard is it to find a guy who was bayoneted 7 times? Anyway, so the original Mercer oak died a few years ago, about 25 years ago, and this tree is made from an acorn of the Mercer oak. How about that? Little history. I also think the movie IQ, where Meg Ryan and Tim Robbins, I think they have a kissing scene somewhere near this tree. I'm going to be doing a scooter ride into town at Princeton, and I will be showing you Albert Einstein's house and some other filming locations from the movie IQ, which I've never seen, because I thought it was a stupid concept for a movie. But Mrs. Captain says IQ was all right. So let me know, do you guys like IQ? And right across the street is the Mercer oak, and if you look at these columns, oh, I feel like I'm at home. I'm back in Philadelphia, and the reason why I say this is those columns were the front of a mansion in a house in Philadelphia back in the 1800s. And then in the 1950s, the state of New Jersey put the columns right here in the battlefield. There's also a graveyard back here. So the architect of these columns is the same guy who made the dome at Washington Capitol. His name was Thomas Walter, and he made the portico of this house was made for a guy named Matthew Newkirk, who lived in Philadelphia. And behind these columns, you will find a grave for not only the colonial troops or the American troops, but also the British troops. And it's right off at the edge of the battlefield. Near here lie buried the American and British officers and soldiers who fell in the Battle of Princeton, January 3rd, 1777. There's a wreath. I go to a lot of cemeteries in Philadelphia, and there are also some mass graves where there are some British troops buried. And I don't think that they fly in the British flag. It's just American flags in the Philadelphia cemeteries. Wow. Pretty neat seeing this. It's about a 25-minute walk from the parking lot to the swinging bridge. And yeah, it's a bumpy terrain. It's not meant for scooters. It's meant for walking. Oh, I just realized I'm afraid of heights. Isn't that funny? I forget about my fear of heights until I have to cross the swinging bridge. This is so cool. What? Look at this. Oh, all right. Everything in the pocket. Okay. Oh, man, this is really sketchy. It's not sketchy, though. It's pretty incredible. It does have a little bit of shake to it. There's the trail. This is what you got going on below, yeah? Oh, wow, this is awesome. Oh, it's bouncy. It's bouncy. Put your hand there. Well worth it. This was well worth it. I don't care what's even on the other side. Uh-oh. Somebody lost their glasses. It's not... And I... You know how I have a fear of heights if you're a regular viewer. I'm totally okay right now. This is awesome. This is well worth the walk. Highly recommend it. Swinging Bridge, Princeton, New Jersey. And we're back where we started it all. At the house where Hugh Mercer died in this farmhouse. I screwed up the alignment on the scooter. I gotta take the old Allen wrench out and tighten up some stuff. But hey, that was a pretty... Princeton's a pretty incredible place because I have a whole day ahead of me planned. And there you go. We learned I learned a lot today. I learned that swinging bridges are cool. I learned that Hugh Mercer was bayoneted to death and it took him a long time to bleed out and die, or he probably died of an infection. And I learned that if you go to a state park in New Jersey, you might need to bring your own toilet paper. Here we are, Princeton, New Jersey. Check out that house across the street. This ain't Philadelphia, hun. Princeton, New Jersey is, you know, they got the Princeton University and big time people doing big time things live around these houses near Princeton University. So what we're going to do today is we're going for a walk and a little bit of a scoot. And today we're going to show you the house of a former president of the United States, which I think is this house right here. No, I thought wrong. This is not the house of the former president of the United States. I think it's this house here. Grover Cleveland. He was the what was he? He was the president, and then he wasn't the president, and then he became the president again. Lived on this block, and he's also buried in a cemetery not too far from here. And he's also buried at the same cemetery as Aaron Burr. Yo, you ever see that musical Hamilton? Burr's the bad guy. Uh-oh. That'll be the second grave I go to of a murderer. Oh, I think you can buy the presidential house. Whoa. It's for sale. The presidential mansion of Grover Cleveland. This is called the Westland Mansion. It's at 15 Hodge Road. You can buy it. It's for sale by Sotheby's. Somebody let me know in the comments, how much is a presidential mansion going for? I'm going to say $5.5 million. Let me know in the comments. Yeah, but all the houses around here, I feel kind of like a jerk off walking around in my flip-flops with my little scooter, wearing my WWE t-shirt. Every time I walk past one of the, one of the wives walking their dogs, which has happened 2 times, I feel like they're judging me. I'm also talking to myself, so they should judge me. Like, look at this jerk off. So we're gonna scoot to the graveyard. All right. We are on Nassau Street. Princeton University is across the street over here. Matter of fact, I believe this is University Place. Check out the architecture of these buildings. Look at this one. Good grief. The faces. Huh. Songbird Capitol, it's called. This is beautiful. And they have a thing when you're visiting Princeton. You gotta walk the scooter, which is fine. I can do that because the goddamn thing's dead. I've had this scooter for a few years now. I had not a bad accident. I fell off the scooter yesterday, a little scraped up. But I think the scooter, I took the worst of the fall. I like this street. This is John Street Alley. I hope it's not named after the former mayor of Philadelphia, because that guy is a jerk off. Here, of course, Princeton are known as the Princeton Tigers, and we have down here, I have this in memory of Edgar Palmer. Edgar Palmer planned this square back in 1944. And this is what's behind the Tiger. Tiger was put here in 1944, a little rose garden. Across the street is the Nassau Presbyterian Church, and I believe that's the graveyard we're going to, where Burr, who used to be the president of Princeton University, Burr's buried there, and Grover Cleveland, whose house we just saw, he's buried there. This kind of gives me New York vibes. Uh-oh, there they are. Jehovah's Witnesses, wasting your time, not recruiting anybody. Wasting a beautiful day. Well, I guess there's worse ways of spending your day than standing outside trying to convert people to your cult. Look at this. Check out the architecture on this. Very nice. The Nassau Diner. Holy Lord, look at this. Hamilton Jewelers. That's awesome. Burr, who killed Hamilton, I think the graveyard he's buried on is near Hamilton Street. Burr was also the vice president of the United States. Who was he? Jefferson's vice president? I guess so. More retail stores. Get yourself wear one of these. What? $75 for a polo? This is the Princeton store. Oh, I'm sorry. These are on sale for $39.99. Yeah, one of the biggest scams in colleges is the prices that the kids have to pay for the textbooks. It's always like a few $100s for a textbook. Kind of feels like a Jersey Shore town almost. These are like vacation homes. And there's some apartments. Wow, I wonder what you have to pay to live in an apartment 1 block away from Princeton University. Over here is the cemetery, so let me get back. All right, we're at the far corner of the Princeton Cemetery. And if you go around here, this is where all the presidents of Princeton University are buried. And there's a very famous person who used to be a president of Princeton. Check this out. And this is the grave of Aaron Burr. He is kind of a murderer, right? Wouldn't you say? I'd say he's definitely a murderer. Yeah. Look at this.
Wow. Got milk?
Aaron Burr, sir. That's what they say. All right, check this out. This is the grave of the former president of the United States, Grover Cleveland, who lived in Princeton. I think this is the first presidential grave I visited. And compared to some of the other headstones in this cemetery, it's kind of modest considering who he was and what he did. All right, here we are. The third part of our little tour here in Princeton. And we are on Mercer Street. And Albert Einstein lived on this house right here. Let me show you. Right there at that house on 112 Mercer Street, that is the former home of Albert Einstein. So Albert Einstein purchased this house way back in 1936 and lived here till 1955 until his death. There are pictures you see of Einstein sitting on the steps of this house. And over here he had a meeting with the first Prime Minister of Israel. Marian Anderson was an African-American opera singer who wasn't able to stay at a hotel when she was performing somewhere around here. So Albert Einstein, being the genius he is, he offered her a room in his house. They made a movie not too long ago, well, about 30 years ago, called IQ, starring Walter Matthau and Meg Ryan. If you see the movie IQ, they actually filmed it in this house, and you can see Einstein's real house in the movie, but it wasn't Einstein's house in the movie. That was this house, and they built the porch to look just like this house. That's pretty neat. You can go to the Mother Museum in Philadelphia, and you can actually see parts of Einstein's brain on display. I'm not 100% sure this is true, but I heard that whatever parts of Einstein's body that wasn't used for science, whatever parts weren't used, were cremated, and his ashes were sprinkled or dumped in the Delaware River, the same river Washington crossed. And a few days after that, he had the Battle of Princeton not too far from here. Yeah, so it's neat to think, like, yeah, I'm walking on the same space that Albert Einstein walked on, smoking a pipe, not combing his hair. You know, that's what he did. Einstein didn't comb the hair. The house is next to... I think I read an article that said Princeton University owns that property, and I think somebody who is on Princeton's faculty lives in Einstein's old house. How many times do you think the guy who lives in Einstein's house is called an Einstein? Yo, Einstein. It's like, yeah, I get it. Princeton University, not too far, it's right there. Albert Einstein was a professor. I kind of wish I knew they were filming IQ back in '94. I'm a big Walter Matthau fan, right? Bad News Bears is my favorite baseball movie. And just to know that Walter Matthau was in that house and Albert Einstein was in that house, that's pretty awesome. I'm getting ready to film my next video here at the Quaker Bridge Mall, so it's time for me to end this video here in Princeton. What a great day. I could probably spend 48 hours here and find stuff to do and find interesting stuff to look at. I didn't even really get a chance to explore the campus again. But man, it was a good day. Einstein's house, the battlefield. But now we're going to go see how dead this mall is. So if you can, please hit like and subscribe. And I'll sail with you later. Let's all mess up our hair for Albert Einstein, right? You know, if he was so smart, why didn't he comb his hair?